Michael Jordan secretly paid a stranger's college tuition. That stranger just became someone unexpected. The hallway smelled like old textbooks and fried food from the cafeteria downstairs. Darius Cole sat on the edge of his twin bed in his Howard University dorm room, staring at the tuition bill on his desk. The number hadn't changed overnight. Still owed. Still impossible. He rubbed his hands over his face, wondering if there was something he missed in the financial aid process. Scholarships had dried up after his high school coach passed. He'd come to Howard with more dreams than dollars, betting everything on balancing a walk-on tryout with pre-made courses. But the weight was getting heavier. He hadn't told his mom things were falling apart. She had enough on her plate back in Baltimore. There was a knock at the door. Then silence. Darius waited a second before standing up and pulling it open. No one was there. Just a thin envelope on the floor. No name on the front. He picked it up, scanned the hallway, then shut the door and sat back down. Inside was a single piece of paper. Your tuition is paid. Stay focused. MJ. No contact number. No school letterhead. Just that. At first, he laughed. One of the guys down the hall messing with him, probably. Then he flipped the envelope again. Something about it felt real. Almost too real. He opened his laptop and logged into his student account. Tuition balance, 0. Darius blinked. Refreshed the page. Still 0. His hands trembled slightly. He called his mom. Ma, you sitting down? What happened? She asked instantly. Someone paid my tuition. I don't know who. There was a long silence on the other end. Then her voice softened. Must be your guardian angel, baby. That night, Darius didn't sleep. He stared at the note for hours, trying to make sense of it. He had no rich relatives, no secret sponsors. No one knew his struggle except maybe Coach Reynolds, his high school coach, but he'd passed 2 years ago. And that signature, MJ, was it real? Was that a joke? Was someone just messing with him using a famous name? Whatever it was, the debt was gone. That alone felt like a new start. The next few months, Darius became a ghost in his own life. He attended every class, barely missed a practice, and kept his head down. He played for the love of the game, not for glory. The Howard basketball team was filled with louder personalities, guys who talked big, played flashy, made noise. Darius was different. No trash talk. Just discipline. Mid-range jumpers. Clean cuts. He wasn't the team star, but he was the one they relied on when the clock got tight. His coaches respected him. Teammates trusted him. Scouts ignored him. After a solid junior season, a few scouts showed up. One from the G League, one from overseas. They asked questions. Took notes. But no contracts came. Still, he kept grinding. His senior year, during the last home game, he hit the buzzer beater against Hampton. Crowd went wild. He barely smiled. After the game, he walked off the court, waved to his mom in the stands, and disappeared down the tunnel. That was the last time he played competitive basketball. No draft night. No overseas signing. No interviews. Just silence. He went full force into med school, took out loans, picked up part-time jobs, and studied harder than anyone else in his year. He never spoke about basketball. Not once. It was as if that chapter closed the moment he left the court. Years passed. He kept the note. He never told anyone. One summer afternoon, he stood outside a modest hospital in Chicago, waiting for his rideshare. The air was thick and hot. A kid rode by on a bike, wearing a faded Red Bulls jersey. Number 23. Darius watched him go, and for the first time in years, let himself think about the name on that note. In the evenings, when the ER slowed, he sometimes replayed old games on his tablet. Mostly Jordan-era Bulls. Not for the flash. For the footwork. The details. The way control beat chaos. That was how Darius lived, on and off the court. One night, after back-to-back shifts, he fell asleep in the on-call room. His notebook had slipped from his lap. A nurse picked it up and raised an eyebrow at the sketch of a play drawn on the back of a patient chart. "You coach?" she asked. "No," Darius said, quickly closing the book. Just a habit." In truth, he missed the court. Not the competition. Not the fans. The silence of it. The rhythm. The escape. It never made sense to him why someone would pay for his education and vanish. Why not reach out? Why not want credit? Then again, maybe they did it for the same reason he now paid a portion of his salary each month to cover medical prep courses for underprivileged students. Quietly. No names. Just a letter. One of his students had asked once, "Why do you care?" He had just smiled. In a quiet moment, years after the game-winning shot and the note and the question marks, Darius visited his mother's grave in Baltimore. He laid flowers down, stepped back, and spoke softly. "I didn't make it to the league," he said. "But I made it through. I'm trying to be the kind of man you'd be proud of. And whoever helped me back then, if I ever find him, I'll thank him for both of us." He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out the letter, and read it one more time. "Stay focused. MJ." Then he placed it back in the envelope, folded it carefully, and walked away. The wind picked up slightly, brushing over the headstone, past the trees, and down toward the city. A whisper, like sneakers on hardwood. And the game wasn't over yet. Darius tightened his gloves as the trauma bay doors burst open. A boy, 9, maybe 10, came in on a stretcher, soaked in blood. He was wearing a Red Bulls jersey. The kid's chest was rising, barely. Gunshot wound, upper chest. "No exit," the EMT barked. Darius nodded, focused. The rest of the team moved around him. Hands flew. Commands were given. Within seconds, he had control of the room. Clamp here. Suture. Pressure. They worked like a unit, like a team in crunch time. An hour later, the boy was in recovery, stable. Darius exhaled and stepped out of the OR. In the hallway, the boy's mother clung to a nurse. When she saw Darius, she ran to him, eyes wide. "You saved my son?" she asked. Darius nodded. "God bless you. What's your name?" He looked down at his gloves, blood still smeared across the fingertips. "It doesn't matter," he said, then walked away. He liked it that way, unnoticed. Darius had been a trauma surgeon in Chicago for 4 years now. Long shifts, back-to-back codes, and the ever-present hum of sirens had become normal. He never brought up his past. Not basketball. Not Howard. Not the note. But sometimes, in the on-call room at 3 a.m., when things were quiet, he would pull out an old spiral notebook and sketch out old plays. He didn't know why. It just calmed him. One night, Dr. Lena Park, a sharp ER physician from Boston, walked in on him mid-sketch. "You were a coach?" she asked. "No," Darius replied, flipping the page. "Used to play." "Where?" "Howard." She whistled. "You any good?" He shrugged. "I could shoot." A few weeks later, she invited him to a pickup game at a rec center near South Side. He went, hesitant at first. When he stepped on the court, it was like riding a bike. He didn't talk trash, didn't do anything flashy. Just clean cuts, smooth jumpers, a defense that read every move. Afterward, one of the younger players pulled him aside. "Man, you played somewhere." "Overseas?" "No." "NBA?" "No." The kid frowned. "Then why you play like that?" Darius smiled. "Someone once believed in me. I never forgot." He started going back weekly. Quietly. No one knew he was a surgeon. He helped run drills. Watch the kids play. He kept his life separate, hospital by day, court by night. Then, in the spring, a call came from D.C. His old college coach, Henry Wallace, was in town. The two met at a half-abandoned gym near Howard. The roof leaked. Floorboards creaked. "Looks smaller," Darius said. Coach Wallace chuckled. "You just got bigger." They sat on the bleachers, eating takeout. Wallace sipped from a paper cup. "You remember senior year?" he asked. "The Hampton game?" Darius nodded. "Yeah. I left right after. You know a scout was there. From Spain. I heard. He liked you. Said you reminded him of Jordan, but quieter." Darius smirked. "I didn't think I had a shot." Coach leaned back. "You ever wonder who paid your tuition?" That stopped Darius. "Yeah. All the time." "Why?" Wallace took out his wallet. Pulled an old photo, black and white. In it, a young MJ, arms around a few Howard players, including a very young Coach Wallace. He came by once in '96. Said he liked watching real ball. No press. Just the love of the game. Darius stared at the photo. "You think it was him?" Coach shrugged. He asked about kids who reminded him of himself. I told him about a quiet shooter from Baltimore. Didn't say much, but played like he was solving a puzzle. Darius looked down. The gym echoed with the sound of a loose ball rolling across the floor. "I never got to thank him." "Maybe you're not supposed to." A few weeks later, a fire damaged the community rec center where Darius volunteered. The roof collapsed. Insurance refused to cover the full repair. That night, he made a call. Not to reporters. Not to social media. To a contractor. The rec center reopened 2 months later. New roof. Polished floors. No grand announcement. Just a plaque on the wall. For the next kid with a jump shot and nowhere to go. D.C. Word got out anyway. Someone posted about it online. The story picked up. Anonymous surgeon funds full rec center rebuild. News outlets called. Darius ignored them. Until CNN called. They weren't interested in the rec center. They wanted to do a segment on trauma surgeons helping inner-city youth, highlighting doctors who made an impact beyond the ER. He agreed. Only because they didn't want a flashy story, just the truth. They filmed at the hospital. They filmed at the court. One night, they interviewed him in the old gym at Howard. The same place he'd once promised his mother he'd make her proud. Near the end of the interview, the reporter asked, "What drives you, Dr. Cole?" Darius paused. Looked up at the rafters, then back at the camera. "When I was 18, I got a letter. No return address. Just a note saying my tuition was paid. And the initials. MJ. The room went quiet. I never found out who did it. But it changed everything. And every time I save a kid in the ER or teach one how to shoot a jumper, I think, maybe this is how I pay it forward." The producer leaned in from behind the camera. "You still have the note?" Darius reached into his coat pocket and pulled out the same old envelope. Yellowed edges. Faded ink. He didn't let them film it. Just held it in his hands. The next morning, the segment aired. Somewhere in a mansion outside Chicago, a man in his 60s sat in a leather chair, watching the screen. When the segment ended, he leaned back, cracked a grin, and whispered, "That kid made it." On his desk sat a copy of the same note. Same handwriting. Same initials. He picked up a ballpoint pen. Wrote one more letter. This time, it wouldn't be anonymous. The CNN segment made its rounds. Not viral, but loud enough. People shared clips. Mentions rolled in. Some guessed who MJ was. Some laughed it off as coincidence. Others speculated wildly. Darius stayed silent. He went back to work. The ER didn't pause for fame. His patients didn't care about backstories. And that's how he liked it. Then one afternoon, a thick envelope arrived at his office. No return address. Just his name in bold print. Inside, a short letter. You did exactly what you were supposed to. MJ. And below it, an invitation. A private charity event. No cameras. No reporters. Just an address, a date, and a note, come along. Darius stared at it for a while. He didn't tell anyone. The night of the event, he drove himself. A quiet part of Chicago, near Highland Park. Mansion-sized homes behind tall gates. The kind of wealth that didn't need to show off. The house was modern, minimalist, clean lines. No valet. No greeters. Just a single man at the door. Tall. Bald. Familiar. Michael Jordan. He opened the door like he'd been expecting him all night. You made it, MJ said, casual. Darius tried to speak. Nothing came out. Come in. Inside was quiet. No crowd. Just a hallway with framed jerseys, game photos, and charity event pictures. Darius followed him through a study, into a back room lined with trophies and championship rings. But MJ wasn't showing off. He barely looked at them. I saw the segment, he said. You did good. Darius finally found his voice. It was you. Jordan nodded. Coach Wallace called me back in '02. Said he had a kid with fire in his chest and no way to pay for school. Said you reminded him of me when I still had something to prove. But, why me? Jordan leaned against the edge of the desk. I've made a lot of money. Lost some too. Spent decades being seen, quoted, sold. But the best thing I ever did was something no one saw. He paused. I paid for 3 kids' college tuition in the early 2000s. No press. No names. Just letters. Told myself, if even one made it, it'd be worth it. Darius sat down, slowly. And you didn't want anyone to know? I wanted to see what you'd do without the weight of a spotlight. You didn't take the bait and chase fame. You built something bigger. Jordan tossed a folder on the desk. Inside, blueprints, permits, and a proposal with a large heading. The Cole Center, Community Health and Youth Athletics. Jordan looked at him. You up for it? Darius flipped through the pages. A hybrid of a trauma clinic and a gym. ER rooms on one side. Courts on the other. Academic classrooms upstairs. He looked up. You're funding this? We are, Jordan said. But it'll have your name. Darius stood, unsure what to say. You earned it, Jordan added. Later that night, as Darius drove home, he didn't turn on the radio. He just let the silence carry him, the hum of the tires and his own heartbeat. Something had shifted. Not just his path. His purpose. Months passed. Construction began. Word got out slowly. No big launch. No viral campaign. Just work being done. The Cole Center opened quietly on a cloudy Saturday in Southside Chicago. No red carpet. Just families. Kids shooting hoops. Local teens applying to internships. The trauma wing staffed by volunteers from the hospital Darius worked at. One of the exam rooms had a photo hanging on the wall, a grainy picture of a young man in a Howard jersey, mid-jumper. Opening week, Darius walked the halls every morning. Met with families. Checked on students. Taught CPR classes. Ran evening drills on the court. On the 3rd day, a boy walked in wearing a Bulls cap. Couldn't have been older than 11. He held out an envelope and said, "They told me to give this to you." Darius opened it. Inside was a copy of the note from 2002. Your tuition is paid. Stay focused. MJ. Below it, something new was typed. Now it's your turn. Pick someone. Darius smiled. That night, he stayed late in the office and pulled a few names from the scholarship applicant pile. One stood out. A girl from Bronzeville. Raised by her grandmother. Straight A student. Wanted to be a surgeon. Played point guard on her middle school team. He penned a short letter. No contact info. Just words. Your tuition is paid. Stay focused. DC. Weeks later, he received a thank you letter in return. No fanfare. No camera crews. Just a note from someone who would now get her shot. Years passed. The Cole Center grew. More kids came. More students graduated. One became a nurse. Another became a coach. One even made it to Howard. Darius never stepped into the spotlight. He still worked night shifts. Still played quiet pickup games. Still coached. Still answered questions with few words. And every now and then, he'd check his coat pocket for the original letter. He kept it with him, not for motivation, but as a reminder. That some moments are meant to be felt, not seen. That true greatness doesn't always dunk from the free throw line. Sometimes, it just leaves a folded letter under a dorm room door and watches what grows from it.